Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Molnar here. Great to have you here for me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Yeah, we're going to be looking at a very warm week. Lots of rain here, particularly across the east. Big stormy conditions out west here just continuing. But yeah, we're going to be looking at record warmth here in the east with that Inferno ridge. That's why it's really hard to believe that next weekend could we actually be looking at an interior snowstorm for parts of the northeast U.S. into southeast Canada. Let's get into it. And could we be looking at a snowstorm for interior northeast for this weekend? Models are starting to point towards an interior snowstorm that could be elevation dependent, especially if it occurs at night when we get the greatest snowfall accumulations away from the higher sun angles effects. I'll be showing you all the snowfall accumulation totals we could be looking at as we head into this weekend. Monday, severe weather here across parts of eastern Texas, Louisiana, all the way up west to Chicago here. Watch out. Even Chicago later in the day, you could be looking at some strong thunderstorms here, all the way from Texas, Houston, San Antonio, all the way up to Chicago, Illinois. And that thread shifts eastward on Tuesday. I almost think this is going to be expanded a little further to the east as well. Strong thunderstorms. Look at this. Generalized thunderstorms all the way up to Cleveland and Buffalo. But it's down here along the Gulf Coast states. This, I think, is going to be your area we need to watch, especially later Tuesday. All right, so starting off with the GFS, and we'll transition to the European model here. Here you go through March 4th, getting into your Monday. You can see rainfall spreading here in the Mississippi River Valley, eastern Texas. You're going to start to see some stronger thunderstorms here. We'll go over which areas could see the greatest risk of severe weather as we head from Monday into Tuesday the 5th here. You can see what's going on here into the northeast, that little coastal low spinning up off of North Carolina, heading due north here, providing you with some rainfall here, especially into parts of New England and eastern New York. Now, as we get towards Wednesday, you see this low pressure winding up out of the deep south here, the Gulf Coast area, heading up just west to the I-95 corridor. You can see the system's going to be moving right up through later on the 6th into Thursday the 7th. The northern fringes could see that wet snow, especially in the higher terrain of interior New England and southeast Canada. That continues into New Brunswick. Look at this 1040 millibar high here. That's going to be really supplying some cold air just to the north here, especially in southeast Canada. As we get towards the 4 p.m. on Thursday the 7th, you can see this storm pivots just off the coastline here, providing Nova Scotia and Newfoundland here with some heavy wet snow. Our next system here pushing off towards the north. The initial low pressure heading up through the Great Lakes. And look what we have here. We have this high pressure system right over southeast Canada that's going to be locking in some colder air towards this direction. So we're actually going to see, warm air pushing in from the west, cold air, continuing to cold air dam here into parts of the northeast. And that's where we'll see the heavy wet snow developing. This looks to be on Saturday afternoon and evening. Now, it looks like it's changing to rain here from Cleveland, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Philadelphia, even towards Binghamton and Syracuse initially here. But look what happens as the coastal low starts to take over. This is let me just back this up a little bit overnight, because overnight is where the highest snowfall accumulations could lie. See how the lows forming just east of Delmarva here and southeast of Atlantic City by this point in the middle of the night. This is 3 a.m. We're getting towards really early morning hours. We start to see that rain changing back to heavy wet snow here. Even in Cleveland, you'll be changing back to snow at this point. So this is going to be a very interesting setup. As we head towards, say, noon on Sunday, the 10th, look what starts to happen. 998 millibar. Yeah, we're getting some bursts of heavier snow here back across interior parts of the Northeast. Big cities look to stay rain, even Boston. At this point, it looks like you'll be rain, but stay tuned. Things could change. Heavy snow here across interior parts of New England, especially those higher elevations. Now, this thing really starts to get cranking. This is noon, and then we get towards 6 p.m. here on Sunday, or Monday, I should say, Monday the 10th. Look at this, 992 millibars, bringing the rain into eastern Massachusetts, but look at inland here. even some lake enhancement back towards Cleveland and Buffalo here. So we're changing back to snowfall here because we got that high pressure system that's bleeding that cold air here into interior sections. And as we continue to wind this thing up, let me just back this up just a hair. This is 3 a.m. on March 11th. So this thing starts to slow down. You can see we're changing over to heavy wet snow here in Boston, parts of eastern Long Island here, and then we're getting into southern Nova Scotia as well, 974 millibars. So we could be dealing with some very heavy snow into parts of interior and coastal Maine too. And look at this. This is towards 9 a.m. Still some heavy snow, especially east of Boston over Cape Cod. And then we start to move this thing out over the ocean at this point. As we continue to build high pressure in behind it, it looks like any lake enhancement shuts off here across the eastern lakes. Systems out west just continue. Let's see what happens as we go ahead. It looks like a big warming trend is going to occur. This is towards the middle of the month, March 15th here. Another little coastal system trying to form. Here's another weak Colorado low, it looks like at this point. And then that strengthens and heads up into Ontario, Canada, pushing some stronger thunderstorms here across the deep south and rain all the way up into southern Ontario before an upper level low kind of pinwheels some lake enhancement here with that big surge of cold air towards March 17th and 18th. And then our next system looks like a little bit of a weak clipper type system towards the 19th. So here we go with our European run. Let's take a look as we go through Monday, March 4th and 5th here, Tuesday. You can see that rainfall blossoming here across the mid-Atlantic with that weak coastal system. Also, moisture streaming out ahead here into the eastern lakes and Ohio Valley. And we got that threat of stronger thunderstorms here, especially Tuesday here across parts of the deep south. A system out west continuing to push in, a little bit weaker than the previous system. But watch this as we go in time. We head towards Wednesday the 6th. You can see we're still getting some rainfall here into western New York, western Pennsylvania, eastern Ohio, and our next low pressure system moving up through the Carolinas here. That's going to spread rainfall well out ahead of it, maybe some mixed snow on the northern fringes of the system. It looks like at this point this remains mostly all rain and then eventually kicks out to sea. This is March 9th. So Saturday morning, 4 a.m., you can see the ingredients. The Euro's a little bit behind the GFS on evolution of this system, a little bit basically slower evolution. But you can see the moisture streaming well out ahead of it all the way north to Cleveland and Buffalo. So we'll start to get some rainfall by this point. But you can see that initial low really winding up here across near Cleveland by 3 a.m. on the 10th. So this is right around on Sunday morning, but look at these big time thunderstorms. These could be really severe from Raleigh all the way down to Jacksonville and just north of Tampa. So we're going to have to watch out for that. Severe weather event is possible. And then look at this. There's what's happening. You got that secondary low transferring energy to this primary low. This is 3 p.m. on Sunday the 10th. So this is later in the weekend. It's the nighttime you have to watch. That's where we're going to see the biggest snowfall accumulations, especially inland higher elevations. That's going to be the key here. This could be a very late winter nor'easter developing here and pretty well intensifies here just east of Boston, 986 millibars by 9 a.m. So the European model is going much stronger, quicker here. That means this would be all snow inland as we head towards 9 a.m. on Monday, March 11th. Look at those isobars too. You know these tightly packed isobars, we would see tremendous amount of wind and blowing of the snow. And if it's a heavy wet snow, it may bring down some trees and power lines. And that pivots towards the east. Southern New Brunswick and all of Nova Scotia could be getting in on the act of some very heavy snow, maybe blizzard conditions by this point. And look how this kicks out to the east. High pressure building into the southeast, a little weak clipper here across the lakes as we head through March 13th. So for our snowfall here on the GFS, yeah, as we head through midweek, we've kind of backed off a little bit on that snowstorm in the northeast, that initial one. And then look at that. As we head Saturday night into Sunday, that's where we could rack up some pretty hefty accumulations inland here, especially these higher elevations of interior Pennsylvania, New York, and all of New England there. especially the highest elevation areas, particularly above 1,800 feet. That's where you could see the highest snowfall accumulation. Of course, most of the snowfall is going to be out here. Look at central Canada up there. That's 12 to 16 inches. But look at here in the Rocky Mountains, as well as the upper Midwest here, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota. You could be seeing significant snowfall accumulations. So taking a look at the European model run, yeah, that initial snowfall looks to be just hitting southern New Brunswick here, and extreme northern Nova Scotia, extreme eastern Maine here. But then as we head into the weekend, yeah, the European model kind of fills this in for southeast Canada as well as upstate New York and interior New England. So we're starting to have some model consensus this far out, which is pretty remarkable, as you can see. And then, of course, central Canada, blockbuster snow event, as well as the Rocky Mountains here. All right, so the European run here for our snowfall, as we get into the weekend, this is what we could be looking at. It's definitely going to be interior sections at this point, anywhere from northeast Pennsylvania all the way up into Maine, even Quebec and parts of Ontario here. But yeah, especially the higher elevations, you stand a chance to see the highest 6 inches or greater with this potential nor'easter type system. All right, so as we kick off our GFS run here, initial shot of a couple inches, maybe up to 6 inches here in eastern Maine as we head from Thursday afternoon through early Friday. And then our weekend system here looking pretty similar to the European run, maybe just a little bit farther to the south and to the east here, but you get the idea. We're going to have to keep a close eye on this, especially if this were to occur at night. That's when we get the greatest snowfall accumulations this time of year, away from the effects of the higher sun angle. Liquid equivalent precipitation here on our European run, you can see along the East Coast, that midweek system. Thankfully, it actually is looking like a little bit less rain, 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch on average here. We have the system pushing through the Ohio Valley as well, with some gully washers. And then we continue towards the Thursday system into Friday. We're going to see a lot of low-pressure systems line up. You can see the heaviest precipitation now showing just offshore. We will have some problems here across parts of the south here with some severe weather come mid to late week, so watch out for that. Next weekend system, though, look at adding a lot of liquid here towards the coast. Some of this inland could actually be frozen here with the snowfall, so we'll have to keep a very close eye on that. But look at, if we average out the totals all the way through the middle of next week, March 13th, this is a lot of precipitation here, especially for eastern New England. And look at down here into the southeast. This is where we could see 3.5 to 5 inches of liquid equivalent. And here you go. You want to see the GFS. It's pretty similar as we head through midweek Thursday. And then look at this. Our weekend system, we're just piling more. It pretty much looks like a carbon copy here of the European model. All right, so if we take a look at the upper air pattern here, that raging Inferno furnace ridge here in the east continues at least through most of the week. Look at next weekend, though. We have that energy diving to the south here from the Midwest all the way to the southeast, and we're going to start to see that potential that we could see that East Coast system kick off here, and that could promote an interior snowstorm here for parts of the eastern lakes, all the way up through interior northeast and New England. So that's something we'll have to keep an eye on. It is a quick mover, though, so it will be out of our hair pretty much by, early to midweek next week. And then look at that. Another one tries to reform again right around the 18th of March. It's actually looking a little more impressive on this model run, more negatively tilted. So could we have another East Coast system developing? We'll have to keep an eye on this. And taking a look at the latest CFS models, we continue pick up a third week of March here. You can see what's going on. We have a tremendous amount of storminess here continuing, especially across the east. It looks like things start to improve out west if you're looking to get out there and enjoy. But look at this. Yeah, it's just one system after another in the east. It's very fast moving. This is towards March 29th. And as we head into April 1st here, right around Easter and beyond, yeah, we're going to start to continue to see these troughs dig in through the northeast. So we're going to keep a very stormy pattern of it here into early April. All right, so our future radar here, there's that system across the northern plains that's going to be producing that blizzard-like conditions even into parts of north-central North Dakota. Look at the west. Yeah, you're just getting pummeled out here. And here along the east, we're going to watch this area just off the southeast coast. Watch this as I put our future radar in time here. We're going to have to get into, there it is, 3 p.m., on Monday, the 4th. You can see we have this system right along the East Coast here. It is a weak low pressure system, but is it going to push some rainfall here into parts of the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast? You see how it pushes northward here? It almost looks like a mini tropical system this time of year, March 5th. Look at this over here, though. West of Chicagoland, you could be looking at some showers and thunderstorm action here. Now, look at this low pressure moving right up into Chesapeake Bay. This is by 5 a.m. on Tuesday, March 5th. This is going to be an interesting little system, almost like a mini nor'easter, especially on the northern side. It's going to produce a half to 3/4 of an inch, and you see those. It almost looks like feeder bands pushing into New York City and Long Island here. Some of those could spit out, some heavier showers. And just to our west, we actually have showers and thunderstorms bearing down on Toledo and Detroit. This is noon hour on Tuesday, March 5th. And now watch here across the south, because this is where you could start to get into some severe weather on Tuesday. All right, so for our Canadian weather outlook here, I just want to make note, you're going to be looking at a full-blown blizzard here across the central plains of Canada. This is some great news. These drought-stricken areas of central Canada finally getting some real good snowpack here. That will be a fading memory as we head towards Tuesday, March 5th. That moving eastward here, some rain as far north as central Quebec, and then heading east, some snow on the northern fringe. Then we're going to start to look around the edges here, southeast Canada and the west coast of Canada. That's where we're going to start to see that big system push in late week. And look at here from Nova Scotia, southern New Brunswick to Newfoundland here. That's where we're going to start to see a lot of snowfall here pummeling in from the ocean with that next coastal system. We're going to line these coastal systems up. You can see out west, we're going to continue to push that atmospheric river in here. And as we go in time, there's going to be these Colorado lows that push into parts of the lakes here, and we're going to see some snow, especially into parts of Ontario and Quebec as we go in time here. Now, our next coastal system, that could be taking aim once again on southern New Brunswick and Nova Scotia here as we head through March 11th. You can see that does pinwheel out to sea and pretty much misses pretty much all of Newfoundland here. West coast of Canada stays pretty active here. You can see our next system here on March 13th across parts of Ontario and Quebec. Another burst of snow, but look how far the rain snow line is. Most of New Brunswick at this point into the rainfall, as is Nova Scotia, pushing towards parts of Newfoundland by this point. But look into Western Canada here by the mid part of March. That's where we're going to start to see that atmospheric river kind of take a break here on the west coast of the United States and push up towards the part of Western Canada. You can see some showers here across parts of southern Ontario by this point. Rain snow line pretty far north at this point towards March 17th into parts of southeast Canada, most of northern Quebec, and that moves to the northeast towards Newfoundland. So here we go, Canadian snowfall. Central Canada is finally going to see some snow through this week into early weekend. Look at that. A big area of 20 to 30 centimeters. There in the purple and the darker purples and maroons closer to 30. Look at this here into New Brunswick. Extreme northern Nova Scotia here through Newfoundland. You could get upwards of 30 to 40 centimeters. And there's the west coast of Canada getting upwards of 40 plus centimeters, especially in those mountainous terrain. All right, so our temperature outlook here as we go through at least the first, second, and part of the third week, if we can get that far, of March. Look at this. Yeah, this raging inferno furnace. Do we actually see any sign of that polar vortex? This is towards March 10th. You start to see, this is a lot of cold air bottled up here into parts of the northern plains to Canada. However, you can see the coldest way up north here into parts of Canada. Do we actually see that surge here as we head towards, say, the 13th? Well, there's a little bit of evidence here into northern New England as we go out here in time. And here we go. We're going to pick up here with the GFS. So as we head in time here towards the middle part of the month, we see that big surge, another inferno ridge, but look what's coming in behind it here. This is going to be right around the 18th to give you some reference point. Here we go. Here's the 19th. So we do start to see a little bit, it's marginal cold air, but it could be just enough. And look what's waiting just behind it here. this may end up pivoting towards the south and the east. And for the tropics, I did not want to leave you guys out here. I know we're going to be getting into tropical hurricane season soon, and I'm going to be working on my hurricane outlook for 2024. I hate to say it could be quite a blockbuster with La Nina and these high sea surface temperatures. We could be looking at a real problem of a hurricane season. Now, as we head through the midweek here towards March 6th, we get some showers just south of Jamaica here, even some here into the northern Bahamas. But, for the most part, it looks pretty quiet. You're going to need this quietness before the calm before the storm of hurricane season in a couple months. It's hard to believe that's just around the corner. Here's a little bit of a low moving just north of Honduras. It doesn't look like it's going to amount to much. We have some showers here towards the Lesser Antilles for late next weekend, right around March 10th. So as we continue to go in time, you can see we're going to ramp up the moisture with this low as it heads inland towards Belize and parts of Honduras and the Yucatan Peninsula. So if you have vacation there towards Cancun, it looks like a rainy early next week here as we go in time. And look at this, the shower activity is really increasing as we go across the Caribbean through the middle part of March. All right, so my Caribbean viewers, here your rainfall accumulation outlook here. Yeah, through this week into next weekend, it looks like most of your rainfall here will be across the Yucatan, Belize. This is where you could see 30 to 50 millimeters, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Jamaica, you're looking at about 13 to 26 millimeters on average here, anywhere from about 0.5 inch on average. And here we go from Bahamas to the Eastern Caribbean. Yeah, you're going to see some showers, 6 to as much as 10 millimeters here from the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, towards 10 to 19 millimeters. Anywhere from 1/4 to 0.5 inch on average. It's the northern Bahamas this week. Let's get that out of the way. You can see here, especially the northern Bahamas, this is where you could see 50 to 80 millimeters of rainfall. That's getting on up in the order of 2 to maybe as high as 3 inches. I got plenty more weather for you in just a moment, but take a look at my affiliate. Do you want some awesome maps? Check this out.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
All right, so if we take a look at temperatures here, we are going to go through the week here. Monday, it's a raging inferno here across the east. Look at the Ohio Valley, even getting into the 70s here. Florida into the 80s, as well as Texas. The only cold air that we can see is up here into the far northern plains towards the U.S.-Canadian borders. We get into Tuesday. Look at this surge of warmth here into the east, just continuing, even eroding those 40s and giving way to 50s and some 60s. Look at this, almost to 90s here in South Texas and mid-80s here across much of the Florida Peninsula. As we get into Wednesday, look at this. Yeah, we're just seeing more warmth blossoming across the east. The cold air is just hanging out here into the northern plains. As we head into Thursday, we continue to see that warm air continuing to push to the east. Now, we do see a little bit of cooler here, if you can call that much cooler, upper 40s and lower 50s here across the eastern lakes. But look at this, another surge of warmth here on Friday, March 8th. You can see really warm air here, especially across Florida. Look at that in the mid-80s continuing. And as we head into next weekend, Saturday, it's looking pretty toasty here in the east again. And look at this, we're actually warming up here across the northern plains into the 50s and 60s as well. Extended outlook from our hometown viewers, Binghamton, Scranton, Susquehanna, River Valley, New York, and Pennsylvania. Look at this as we head through Monday through Friday here. We are looking at a stellar week here. We'll have some clouds Monday and some Tuesday, some showers. But look at this. Yeah, highs starting in the 60s, then translating towards the 50s, towards midweek, towards 50, and even some upper 40s. But we're ending the week mostly sunny after some rain on Wednesday and Thursday, which could amount up to 0.5 inch on average. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also at Weather Northeastern, also at Hurricane Northeastern, and also at Susquehanna Weather. Also Twitter at Weather Eastern, and you can visit me at MeteoMark.com. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to check out my winter weather outlook for 2023-24, and link in the description down below, as well as my affiliate, Trilogy Maps.